What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with another MLB Power Rankings heading into week 11 of the MLB season. And of course, we have some movement this week. But before we get into the rankings, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Get us to 500 subscribers. We'll be doing that huge giveaway. We're also 100 subscribers away, or 100 followers away on Twitter to 1K. So make sure you guys check that out. Get us there when we'll be doing a giveaway as well. But let's get into the video here. And coming in at 30th, not moving, we got the Oakland A's. Not really much going on with them except losing games. You know, they're not looking hot. This team had a little promise beginning of the year, but that slowly faded away. And the big story for them is who are they going to unload at the deadline. Frankie Montas is probably going to be the guy that's going to get dealt at the deadline. And this week they got 3 games at home, 3 in away. The Kansas City one, that'll be the most winnable games for them. 29th, we got the Nationals dropping 2 spots. They're a great hitting team. You know, they're top 7 in the MLB, but pitching is what's holding this team back in a very competitive NL East. They're 1-8 in their last 9. And they have 5 games this week, all on the road, 2 in Baltimore and 3 at Texas. Some games that, you know, they could take, and I think going 3-2 is a successful week for them. 28th, we got the Reds staying put. 20 games back from 500. Kyle Farmer's putting up a pretty good year with a 282 average, 38 RBIs. And I think, you know, another dealt piece at the deadline in about a month or so could be Luis Castillo, 3.33 ERA, 43 Ks and 46 innings pitched after he got a late start on the season. And now they have pretty much, they're going to lose all 6 of their games this week. I'm predicting, you know, you got the Dodgers at home. They're going to come in and probably mash. And then going to San Fran in the Bay, not good for them. Not a good week for them. 27th, we got the Royals moving up a little bit. You know, just because they won a few more games than these 2 teams here. MJ Melendez and Bobby Witt Jr., they're doing pretty good so far in their rookie seasons. If they decide to sell a few pieces, Benintendi could be on the block. He's been putting up a good year. They could get maybe a solid return for him after, you know, he's still a young piece. But you never know. And then they got 3 on the road in LA, and then they come home to face Oakland. 26th, we got the Cubs. And this team, they took 2 or 3 from the Braves that were on a huge win streak last weekend. And if they look to sell as well, I think Wilson Contreras is going to be a name that's going to be brought up. They could get a lot back for him because he is a catcher and he's playing out of this world, one of his best seasons so far. And now they have 7 divisional games this week, all on the road. And I think the Cubs are going to struggle. 25th, we've got my Tigers still here, you know, 14 back from 500. Kings of the IL still, you know, Das Cameron got put on the COVID IL. It just seems like one after another. Meadows. But Riley Green got called up 2 for 3 in his first game. Huge showing for the Tigers. And I have it here. Since Riley Green got called up, they're 2-0, 21 runs, 4 home runs, 27 hits, and 10 walks. And the previous 6 games before that, they were 0-6 with 7 runs, 1 home run, 40 hits, and 5 walks. I don't know if this is, you know, one of those huge things that can shift the momentum, but so far through 2 games, it's a lot of promise. And, you know, us Tigers fans love to, you know, get on the train as soon as it happens. We're going to have to see, though, as, you know, they play the Red Sox tonight and a few more games as well, and in Arizona. And I think if they can go 3-3, 4-2, you know, don't count out this Tigers team yet, because, you know, everyone is on the IL. And if they get everyone back, then they could be a sneaky team in the second half of the season. The Pirates staying at 24 as well, 2-11 in their last 13. But some positive news is Jack Swinski, his 3 home run game yesterday with the walk-off against San Francisco. That's, you know, a bright sign for the Pirates as some of these young guys are getting called up, especially O'Neal Cruz. He's going to be getting called up today as well to play against the Cubs. So his much anticipated debut will be tonight. 23rd, we got the Mariners, and this team fell off fast. You know, we had them preseason ranked 17th, and they slowly progressed up to 9th. And here they are to their lowest ranking to date with 23rd. But Logan Gilbert, he's been a solid pitcher for him. Robbie Ray, you know, ever since he left, and it's just been Logan Gilbert has been dealing essentially. When Robbie Ray came to Seattle. You know, him and Gilbert have been the only guys that have really been super consistent, but after that, they're getting no help from the rotation. And pretty much they're down and out. I know they're only 10 games back and they could, you know, get on a streak here, but they're 12 and a half back in the AL West to Houston And I don't see this team, getting a really good shot at a wild card. And they could also be a seller at the deadline if they want to move a few veteran pieces around. 22nd, we get the Orioles. And this is a team that I'm very surprised that is only 8 games back of 500. And they're still in last place in the AL East, a very good AL East with all 4 of the teams currently in the playoffs right now. They are 20 games back of the Yankees. And thanks to, this division, I think this Orioles team could be a 500 team or better if they're playing in a weaker division. But unfortunately, that's just not how the cookie crumbles. They got 6 games this week against the Nationals and White Sox in some games. I think they can go 3-3 and, stay afloat. The Rockies are another team that unfortunately is in a tough division. They're going to get, the brunt end of it. They swept the Padres, though, beat them in 3-game series, and then lost to the Guardians in a 3-game series before. So good rebound for them. Obviously, they're a really good hitting team being in Colorado, but bottom 3 in all pitching stats, struggles, and that's why they're here. 20th, we got the Marlins falling down a little bit. Garrett Cooper's had a quiet, good year, with 313 average. Sandy Alcantara has been an absolute stud, an all-star game, potential starter with how good he's been pitching. And they got 4 games against the Mets this week, 1 in New York and 3 at home, and then 3 against Colorado at home. And I think the Marlins, they could compete with the Mets, but, it's going to have to take a lot for this Marlins team, get back into playoff contention here early. 19th, got the Diamondbacks. Same with them. Same story as them for the Rockies. Tough NL West, but they're staying afloat here. Ketel Marte, he's avoiding the IL right now as I'm making this video. He could be placed on it later with his hamstring injury. But they're bottom 10 in hitting and pitching, and it's going to catch up to them sooner or later. They got 3 on the road against San Diego, and then 3 at home versus Detroit. And I think, a 2-4, 3-3 is a good week for them. You get the Rangers staying put as well. Adolis Garcia had a big, weekend against the Tigers, which boosted his, home runs and average here up to 324 for June. Martin Perez has been a star this whole year. If they really want to deal, or if they want to make a push to the playoffs, I think Martin Perez could be an interesting name that could be dealt in the next month. And they only have 5 games this week, all at home against Philly and the Nationals. 17th, we got the Angels. They're staying put as well. They're back in track. They took 4 out of 5 in Seattle. Mike Trout's second home. I mean, he just loves hitting home runs there in Seattle. He had 5 home runs in those 5 games. And just this month, June, he's had 7 home runs with 13 RBIs in 15 games played. So he's on pace, starting to pick up those MVP votes, MVP numbers. The White Sox moving up to 16th here with a big jump. They didn't do too much this week, but, just won a few more games than those other teams. And record-wise, they're right around 500. Tony La Russa is still going to be in the hot seat, I think, for a while. If they go on another losing streak, things could change. But they're hoping to get Tim Anderson back shortly. They're bottom 10 team in hitting and pitching. And they got, 7 games this week in a very tough AL East, but they're all at home, so I think they get the benefit of the doubt there. Phillies staying put at 15. They're 15-3 in their last 18. Rob Thompson has been, the spark they needed. Ever since the Girardi firing, this team has really taken off. And I don't know what it is, but it just seems like they're, loose, playing better. They're going to Texas for a little 2-game series, and then going on the road to San Diego, which should be a really good weekend series. 14th, we got the Red Sox dropping down 1. And I think the biggest story for them going forward is Chris Sale coming back from the IL. He threw his first simulated game last week as the whole team watched, and it was a pretty good sign for his process and making his debut this year. Will it be a reliever? Will it be a starter? Who knows? But I think he'll just be happy to be back. Hitting wise, this team has been a really good team. Their 258 average is 3rd best in the MLB, most in part thanks to Devers and JD Martinez for batting averages of over 300. They've been really carrying the load early. 13th, we got the Guardians moving up. They're 15-4 in their last 19, and who would have thought this team would be 6 games over 500 at this point? Not too many people. They beat the Dodgers in LA in a 3-game series, 2-1. And I think this could be a sleeper postseason team. If that one of those AL East teams starts to slide a little bit, this team could vault right in there on the way they're playing. And that's thanks in part to Jose Ramirez there, as you can see his stats. But they do have a tough week this week with some good contenders. 12th, we got the Rays free falling out of the top 10. And that's due to in part to their 2-7 in their last 9. And how did they get rewarded this week with 3 games at home against the Yankees? So they need to get back on track quick if they want to stay in that AL East race. They need to take a few from the Yankees there. But they do get to recover with a very bad Pirates team. 11th, we got the Brewers. They're tied with the Cardinals for the NL Central lead right now, and they're 6-12 in their last 18. They had a big lead, and it slowly started to slip away from them. But the biggest story last week was Lorenzo Kane getting DFA'd. For his career, he's pretty much, I don't know, calling it quits, but it's not looking too promising for starting a career somewhere else. But Brandon Woodruff, he might be back as well this week. He's been throwing some rehab games, and they have 7 games as well this week. 4 against St. Louis, which will be really good for the division, and 3 against Toronto, which could be very pivotal week for these Brewers. And same with these Cardinals here. We just talked about them. They're tied with the Brewers for the NL Central lead. Goldie, I think, is probably one of the most underappreciated players of this era so far. 344 average, 16 home runs, 58 RBIs this year. And if he keeps playing like he is, I mean, he's going to walk himself into the MVP race. Not nobody's talking about him for the MVP, but I think he is one of the leading candidates right now. They have 7 games this week, 4 games set against the Brewers, which will be very good for the divisional. And they got 3 at home against the Cubs, which could give them some fits just due to that rivalry. 9th, we got the Twins moving up 1. Luis Arraez, I mean, he's having a monster year, 361 average. It went up from last week, so I had to keep it on here. Byron Buxton, finally healthy. The average, I think, could get a little better, but he's slashing the ball really well. 19 home runs, 33 RBIs. They have 6 games this week, all at home. 3 against the Guardians, which could be, if they get swept, the Guardians would be right there contending for that AL Central lead. And you got 3 against Colorado. And I think, with Colorado coming to your place, you have a good chance to beat them. 8th, we have the Giants, and they're slowly creeping up there on the NL West. They're in 3rd. They're 2.5 back for the Padres, 3 games back for the Dodgers for the lead. And I think if they keep playing the way they're playing, they're going to get it in the playoffs. Maybe not win the NL West, but they'll be there. They'll be playing close because they're top 10 in hitting. And the pitching, I think, needs to improve, but that's going to, help when Descalfani returns this week, potentially. I think it's tomorrow he's scheduled to start, or if not Wednesday. He's been out since, beginning or late April. So they're going to get his arm back. That's big. But they've 7 games this week, 4 in Atlanta. I think that's going to be a great series to watch on, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 3 at home against the Reds. Talking about those Braves, they've been hot, 15-2 in their last 17, with those 2 losses being to the Cubs on back-to-back days. Max Fried and Kyle Wright, both ERAs under 3. They've been, the 1-2 punch in the staff that they need, not even mentioning Ian Anderson. Dansby's having a great year, a career best 294 average with 37 RBIs. And they have a really tough week this week. Luckily, they're all at home, but they get 4 at home against the Giants, 3 at home against the Dodgers. And I think 3-4, 4-3, I mean, even maybe 2-5 is still a good week for these Braves, just because of how good these opponents are. Staying put at 6, we got the Toronto Blue Jays. Alec Manoa, I mean, he's having a great year with a 2 ERA, 73 Ks. Could he win a Cy Young if he keeps this up? It could be possible, depending on how he goes the rest of the year. But I think their biggest question mark right now is that logjam at catcher. Gabriel Moreno, Alexander or Christian Kirk, or not Christian Kirk, Alejandro Kirk, and Danny Jansen. When Jansen gets back off of the IL, what are they going to do? I think that's going to be the biggest question for them. But that team average of 293 in June with 33 home runs is already more than they've had in April and May and altogether. And they're still, what is it, June 20th? They still got 10 more days to increase that number. And they got 6 games this week, all on the road against the White Sox and Brewers. We're looking to, make some moves and get a few games. Starting off our top 5, we got the Dodgers with their lowest ranking to date. Not in part to them playing bad, just the team hopped them because they've been playing really well. And I think what hurt him is Mookie Betts got placed in the IL, but they're hoping for a speedy recovery with his cracked rib. He's hoping he should be just on there for 10 to 15 days. Nothing too serious there, which is a good sign. They're only a half game ahead of the Padres in the NL West, so they're creeping up on them. And they have 3 easy games to start the week in Cincinnati, and then they go to the Braves, which should be a really good weekend set, and maybe even a potential NLCS rematch, we could see. 4th, we have those Padres, and they're dropping 1 as well. Machado, could his MVP season be derailed? He sprained his ankle yesterday, and they got swept by the Rockies as well. So they're trending down right now, but no reason to panic. They're still 14 above 500. Tatis, I know he, didn't get cleared to swing a bat yet, but they don't want to rush him back. They don't need him back right now. They're not in any position where they need his bat in the lineup right now. And especially when you're pitching with Joe Musgrove, leading the MLB in lowest ERA, you got nothing to worry about. But they do have 7 games at home this week, 3 against Diamondbacks and 4 against Philly, which should be a good weekend series. Third, we got the Astros moving up here. They're doing a great job of playing some great ball. Jordan has been absolutely tearing the ball. That should be 18 home runs, not 178. That's just for this year. JV, he's been putting up a solid year after his return from Tommy John. And they have 6 tough games this week, 2 at home against the Mets, and then 4 on the road against the Yankees. And I'm sure the Astros fans are going to get a lot of slack, and the players as well, being in the Bronx. Second, we got the Mets. And of course, they're here staying. Nothing really to worry about for them. That last week they had that Marte and Alonso scare, but here they are. They're still playing good. They're 5.5 ahead of the Braves in the NL East. Scherzer, hoping to get him back either late this week or next week, but Taylor Miguel, he's out till the All-Star break, essentially, after they shut him down for a month. So hopefully they can get his arm back after the break, but they have four games against the Marlins this week and 2 against the Astros. And we got the Yankees here, of course, staying at number 1. I mean, they're the best team in the MLB this year. If they would have won yesterday and meant 50-16, they would have one of the best starts in MLB history. But unfortunately, the Blue Jays beat them. But still, they're 16-2 in their last 18 games. And that's mostly in part to Aaron Judge. I mean, look at his stats there. Absolutely carrying this team, tearing the cover off the ball. He's on pace for more than 60 home runs this year. Could we see it? I hope so, just for the state of the game. And Nestor Cortez, came out of nowhere this year, putting up really good numbers. But the question is, can he sustain it for the whole year? That's going to be the biggest question there for the Yankees. And they have 7 games this week, especially 7 tough games. They're going to challenge them, want their top spot in the Rays, and then 4 against Houston, which will be a really good series. But that's going to be it for the video today. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, go follow our Twitter, Instagram, what you guys got to do. But until next time, the Bench Buddies are out.